take the shot, man. Confidence.
No! Get it!
No!
Capitalize!
Oh.
No!
God damn
Damn.
it, so close. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. So I've been asked to make a video on this Challenger 2 nonsense that has been going on the last day, and it's actually been quite fun going through all of it, because it shows at least something that I've talked about since basically update 1.71, Advancing Storm. When you start adding vehicles to a game and a lot of the information about the vehicles are classified, what ends up going to happen is you're going to have a certain subset of people who are going to be very annoyed at the fact that the modeling of the vehicles is not correct, whether they know the information or whether they don't know the information. What will end up happening is the discussions around them will be never ending. And now we've seen a culmination of all of those ideas happen yesterday, which is always fun, because it's nice, chatting about something that, you talked about a few years ago that will happen. And now this is the second time that this has actually happened in War Thunder's history. So there's been a few articles written about it. The main one is from the UK Defence Journal. I'll leave a link in the description to it. The article itself has a bunch of spelling mistakes in it, which shows that at least it was rushed and also hasn't been edited to fix them. And at the same time has been written by George Allison, who has a degree in cybersecurity from Glasgow Caledonian University, and also has a keen interest in naval defense technology and cyber security matters. The only issue I have with the article that is written, it lays out the facts pretty well. The main issue, though, is the only link that it actually gives to Gaijin themselves is another article which was from thegamer.com, and this was about that whole farce about how War Thunder or Gaijin themselves were being, it was being claimed that Gaijin Entertainment was sponsoring anti-Ukrainian actions, e.g. terrorism, which was an absolutely ridiculous idea. I didn't talk about it at the time. If you want my quick notes on the issue now, when it comes to the idea of sponsoring a YouTube channel, which supposedly has links to other organizations, it is not Gaijin's fault if they are linked to those ideas, and therefore they should be taken out of the context of what is going on over here. It is the same, it will be the same logical example of, let's say, let's just say a person gets a loan from the bank. Then that person uses that loan to buy a gun. Then that person uses the gun to shoot somebody. You do not blame the bank for the murder, right? That was like the logical steps here when it came to that idea that I just went through. And the whole thing was a complete farce, a straight hit job when it came to the whole ideas, and even the links that were used between the different aspects, like linking the actual channel to the Ukrainian separatists and all of this stuff. There was so much hazy information, so I didn't want to go through it at the time because of the fact that there's so much just up in the air about that case. But the fact that this article links to that as basically talking about what the studio is ridiculous. You can actually just link to, the actual website of Gaijin Entertainment, instead of stuff like that. But hey ho, that's kind of just how I suppose modern journalism is nowadays. So when you have a look at what actually happened, basically there was a conversation that was happening on the forums, and the conversation was between a few different individuals talking about a few different aspects of the Challenger 2. I'm trying to be as vague as possible for obvious reasons when it comes to classified material. Now, there was a disagreement in these discussions about the Challenger 2 and one individual decided that they were going to bring up documentation that would prove them correct, and the problem with that is that the documentation used was classified. But not just that, what the individual also decided to do was make it look like it wasn't classified, therefore blacking out certain areas and also making it look like the document had been set for release. So didn't just release a classified document, doctored a classified document to make it look like it wasn't classified. Massive brain move, absolutely stupid thing to do, a ridiculous thing to do indeed. Don't ever do this. Don't ever do any of those steps to prove a point on the internet, of all things. Ridiculous situation that this person has put themselves in, no matter who the individual is. Now, what Gaijin did, which is the correct thing to do, what they did is they reported it and asked for clarification from the actual people who deal with this stuff. So basically, the defense equipment and support individuals, this is from Templar, and basically this was from the Ministry of Defense, Abbey Wood. I can confirm that it does appear to be a genuine extract. It certainly has not been released under FOI previously by DE and S or considered for redacting. We also do not recognize the unclassified stamp as something that has been used in DE and S. So this person forged the unclassified stamp and it was a bad forgery. My God, what you end up with this is you have a piece of information which has not been cleared under the Freedom of Information Act in Britain, and therefore is classified for governmental use, for military use, and nobody else, and now it's in the public because of the actions of this individual. Now, the reason why stuff such as the Official Secrets Act exist in places like Britain is because, of course, there are adversaries when it comes to different countries. You do not want those adversaries to know the technology that you have. You also don't sometimes want your allies to know the technology that you have. When it comes to bargaining power, when it comes to decisions made by the government, it is normally good to have certain things held back from the general public, not because the general public will be able to do anything with the information, but because of outside forces which may be able to. It's as simple as that. That's why it was set up. Now, the issue with doing things like this is if you are actually found to do this, you can actually serve up to a 14-year prison sentence because of how serious it can be to leak information like this. Now, I am not a lawyer. I have no idea what the legal case would look like here, but those are the parameters that are set out by the Act itself. So you end up in this situation where to prove a point on the internet about a video game, somebody has gone out their way to leak classified information. This is ridiculous. It is absolutely astounding that people will go to this length to try and just prove themselves right and get something correct in a video game, even though we know in the video game, the whole point, of it is to be kind of pseudo-realistic, but also fun to play. And the idea that it has to be fully realistic is an impossible feat to hold in something like a video game, and it shouldn't be strived towards. And also shouldn't be something to do to try and win an internet argument. So this whole situation is completely ridiculous. I don't think I have to repeat. It is a dumb idea to release classified information. Most recently, on the 27th of June, there was actually a bunch of documents from the Ministry of Defense found at a bus stop in Britain, which was a classified set of documents based on a meeting that was talking about the destroyer, which had actually gone through the Ukraine-Russia area. You may have remembered that, like about a month ago, and it was about a presentation on whether that should have happened or whether it shouldn't have. But for me, the fact that it was leaked to the BBC, the fact that it was done anonymously, it looks a little bit more shady. It's a lot less cut and dry than what we see here, which is a stupid individual doing a very stupid thing. At the same time, it doesn't even actually fix what would be, what the person would want to see. So the whole point of doing this would be to try and make the Challenger 2 a bit more realistic in the game. Now, you can't do that now, because let's say Gaijin act upon the confidential information, which they're not going to do. It's not seen as an official source by them for good reason, because if they did be seen to have access to these classified documents, they are going to get a very serious letter from a few governments on that fact. And if you don't believe that, the governments will go out their way to do these things, you haven't been following games such as DCS, with the debacles they've had when it comes to certain manuals, and you haven't been following stuff such as the Armor guys, who a bunch of their guys were actually arrested for believing to take pictures of secret military bases. The governments do not screw around when it comes to this information, and they should not. It's as simple as that. Something that should be seen as secret should be kept secret. So at the end of the day, what happens in this situation is Gaijin doesn't change anything, because if they act upon the data, it is therefore seen as them knowing that, or using that data as a source, therefore them claiming it to be true, and therefore they will have some serious ramifications based on that. And then also, you may have a person who is persecuted because of the fact that they've leaked this information. So all of this situation actually results in nothing happening. And it actually might be negative, because now the information has been around. Now what happens is, if the values are actually known of whatever was leaked, now Gaijin has to stay away from those values from fear of the fact that if they ever get close to those values, then somebody may notice, then once again they get a nice knock at the door. It's one of those absolutely ridiculous situations where it is actually much better from Gaijin's point of view to not know anything to do with these things, so therefore they can do what they've done for years, guesstimate the ideas, which is the perfect thing to do, and therefore people can constantly debate them over and over and over again, which is unfortunately negative, but not something that you can change. But it keeps them in the clear from dealing with situations like this. The whole situation is completely ridiculous. The individual who did this is incredibly stupid, and hopefully none of you decide to do this in the future. There is no other way of putting it. It is an astoundingly stupid thing to do. Don't bother trying to do it. It doesn't solve anything. You won't get any positives from it, and you will face repercussions. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank BRFC, Swollen Ostrich, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Conte Baraka, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Lafouche, Barine, and Samuel Schlick for supporting the channel.